Backflush, again, we will have a complete topic on backflush. When we're talking about production, at that time we will talk about backflushing. But backflushing is basically how the component gets issued or consumed. Because at the end of the day, when production is done, the components need to get consumed. So backflush basically means based upon the quantity in the bill of material, system automatically consume whatever quantity is there. That is backflushing. And then another method is a manual, where user can decide how many components they wanted to issue. Good evening, Krati. No, it cannot impact inventory, because inventory there is a lease count, right? So lease count is common. So like pack is common everywhere. It does the conversion. That is the whole idea of unit of measure conversion. Because it's converting to a common denominator. So there's a common denominator with all of them. So by the common denominator, system knows. So like in the example yesterday, pack is the common denominator. Good evening, Gaurav. Okay, so where we were yesterday. Okay, so this is where we left yesterday. So we are now coming to the topic of items and inventory. Okay, so we're coming to the topic of good evening, Saurabh. So we have discussed so far 3 topics. So we did a topic of purchasing, we did a topic of sales, and then we also did in the beginning overview of what SAP Business 1 is about. Now we are coming to the third topic, and in the third topic we're going to talk about items and inventory. So we'll talk about this new topic of item and inventory. Good evening, Satyajit. I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for asking. So in item and inventory topic, the very first chapter is about warehouse. So in this unit, we will talk about warehouse. In SAP, you can define multiple warehouses. You can define 1 warehouse, we can define 2 warehouses, and we can define as many as warehouses as we want. So we can have as many as warehouses as we want. So many warehouses we can define in the system. You can have a 1 warehouse, you can have a multiple warehouse. Many companies can have 5 warehouses, or 10 or 20 or whatever number of warehouses as you want, we can do. Then in the warehouse, you can also have a bill structure. Okay. So we can describe the bin structure, that how the bin structure is being defined in SAP. And then there is a process that is called drop ship process. So drop shipment process. So we will talk about what is this drop shipment process is about. So we will discuss that as well. So that is our agenda in this chapter. So in the business scenario, so we'll talk about warehouse. How do you manage warehouse? What do you do with the warehouse and all that? Okay. So warehouses and the document. Okay. So in the warehouse and the document, whenever we do any transaction, purchase order, sales order, good receipt, delivery, AR invoice, AP invoice, in all the document we have done. In every document, there is always a warehouse. In all documents which we have done so far, there is always a warehouse. Good evening, Prabhat, and good evening, Sanjay, Manjay Roy. So there is always a warehouse. So that is the exercise we did in the past. So for example, if I go to purchase order, and let us say I'm creating a purchase order, selecting any of my vendors, entering an item, any item as we want. And then, if you look at it, there is always a warehouse. Okay. So there is a warehouse which could be there on the line item label. So which warehouse we are doing. So there is always a warehouse in the line item. If I'm creating a sales order or any other sales transaction, for example, there is always a warehouse. So if I create a sales order, and that is what we have done multiple times, so I don't want to take much of your time, but any of these transactions we do, and there is a warehouse. Okay. And if you go to drop down, you can have a multiple warehouses. So we see here, you know, this is warehouse 1, warehouse 2, warehouse 3, warehouse 4, warehouse 5, 6, 7, QC, rejection. There are different warehouses, and different warehouses could be for different regions also. Okay, so different warehouses could be for different regions also. And if you want to create a new warehouse, then we can also create a new warehouse as well. So that is where we can define a new warehouse also. See that new? So if you want to go to new, we can define a new warehouse also. And you can define multiple warehouses. You have 5 or 10 or 20. You can define many, many warehouses. So what we have discussed here is there is a warehouse. Every transaction which you do in sales or purchase or warehouse or production, and there is also different good moments. You see that good receipt, inventory transfer, good issues. All these different transactions also which we are doing, these transactions also happen for the warehouse. So warehouse is always a mandatory entry. So that is what it says, warehouse and the documents. So almost all documents which we do, there is always a warehouse. It's a mandatory entry. What is the warehouse? So warehouse, make a note of that statement. Take the pen and paper. A warehouse represents a location where goods are stored. Okay. So that basically, it tells me the location where we are storing the material. That location where we are keeping and storing the material, is called warehouse. Okay, is called warehouse. Make a note of that statement. Okay. So you can have a different warehouse, general warehouse, regional warehouse. There is also something called drop ship warehouse. So we'll talk about what is the drop ship warehouse. We will be doing exercise on the drop ship warehouse as well. We will also have a bin managed warehouse. So warehouse where we can also manage inventory through the bins. Okay. And how do we manage the bin? That also we talk about. Now, how do we define the warehouse? So I showed it to you. How do we define the warehouse? And as I mentioned, we can define multiple warehouses. So as I mentioned to you, a simple thing is if you go back, if I have this warehouse, you get all these warehouses. I click on the new. And when I click on the new, it takes you to the warehouse screen. And then if you choose here, it will give you warehouse 01. Yeah? This is warehouse 01. This is the warehouse. This is a general warehouse. It is location is Delhi. This is the address in Nehru Place and second floor, Gattiston Center, whatever. If you go to next, if you see this next, this is 02. This is some repair warehouse. And this warehouse is in Mumbai. This is the address. It is in Mumbai, India, Maharashtra. If you go to next, this is third warehouse. That is a drop ship warehouse. Now, what is a drop ship warehouse? There is a process for the drop ship. We'll talk about what is a drop ship warehouse. Okay. So that is what the drop ship warehouse is about. Now, if I want to create a warehouse, now before I forget, I want to tell you something very important. If you see the warehouse here, look at my screen very carefully. So if you see here, if I want to make my warehouse inactive, I can make my warehouse inactive also. Okay. The second thing which you see here, this is general, right? And then we also have something called accounting. You see that? Accounting. Now what is happening is, now this is important from the configuration perspective, and this is important from the perspective of how the system works and behaves. Yeah. Now here we are again going to finance. Yeah. Everything end up going to finance. We are talking logistic, but everything connected to the finance. Yeah? You cannot understand logistic without understanding finance. You cannot understand your logistic processes without understanding finance processes. And now if you look at it here, there are different accounts. Sales credit account, sales return account, GL decrease account, GL increase account, allocation account, inventory account, revenue account, expense account. Remember, when you become SAP consultant, at the end of the day, everything goes to some finance entry somewhere. Your purchasing works, but your purchase finance values are not correct, your implementation is value 0. Your sales order works, but it cannot have a finance entry properly, your implementation 0 value. If your financial numbers does not match, if you cannot create a balance sheet properly, if you cannot create a P&L properly, if you not create your trial balance properly, nothing works. If your trial balance is not matching, nothing works. At the end of the day, every company is a financial entity. Now, another thing, pay attention. Yesterday, we talked about item group. There was some GL account was assigned at item group level. Now we are talking about that some accounts are being assigned at a warehouse level. Assigned at a warehouse level. So important. And these are accounts being assigned at a warehouse level. Now, if I want to create a new warehouse, if you right click, it's a duplicate. That's the easiest way to do it. So we click duplicate. It creates a new warehouse. I can give this warehouse number, let's say 08. I can give a description. Warehouse in Faridabad. I can put address here. What is the city? Faridabad. What is the location, address, whatever. You can put it. So we can put all that addresses and everything. And then you click on the button add. And you click add, then your warehouse is created. But the important thing is these financial accounts. These has to be correct. Creating warehouse is very simple, nothing in it. Very simple. You just create, copy, duplicate, it will create a new one. Simple. 2 minutes. But the important thing is making sure these accounts, if applicable, are correctly defined. If your revenue account, if your inventory account, your expense account, what are different accounts, if these accounts are not proper, you have a problem. Okay, I'm not saving it. So defining a warehouse, we looked at it. What is this warehouse basically means? Now there is something called bin locations in the warehouse. Bin location. Now what is the bin location? So we talk about bin. Bin location is a physical location in the warehouse. Make a note of it. In the warehouse where material is being stored. Because if you are keeping a material in the warehouse, ultimately that material must be there in some bin. Ultimately that material should be there in some location. Ultimately that material should be there in some aisle. So if you see here, let's look at this picture. What does this picture do? This picture tells me this is my warehouse 05. Then you can have an aisle. You see that you can have aisle, A1 aisle, A2 aisle, A3 aisle, A4 aisle. You can create a shelf, S1, S2, S3, S4. These are the just number. A1, A2, these are just number. They could be whatever. It's just a 2-digit code. You can create whatever you want. It doesn't need to be A1. It could be P1 or C1 or D1 or whatever, or other. So any alphanumeric key it could be. It could be numeric. It could be alpha. It could be alphanumeric. Then we also have something called shelves. So we can define shelves also. We can define label also. Now, how do we do that? And you can define many aisles. You can define many shelves. You can define label 1, label 2 means height 1, height 2, height 3. Right? And this is the bin location identification. This is identification of the bin. In the warehouse 05, I have aisle 1, shelf 1, label 3. So now what is the meaning of it? So that basically means if I was saying where is this material, then I know exactly. So bin gives me exact location of material. That is the advantage. You have 50 pieces of this material in my warehouse, but where? Which location? Which aisle? Which shelf? Which label? Which area? Bin management allows you to keep the trace of the physical location of the material in the warehouse. That is what bin location management does. So let us say I go back to the SAP. So if I go back to the material, so I want to go to material or item master. So let us say I select a material. So this is our offset printer. So I select this item. I go to inventory data. Now what I see here is, so this material, offset printer, I have in stock 1121. I have in the repair location 103, and I have in bin warehouse 02. Two quantities. So two quantities are there, and this is the bin. And I can see that. So this material, and if you go back here, I can see that. Let me close this. These two material is lying. Which bin they are in? Look at it here. So now system tells me in the warehouse 5. Okay. This is my warehouse 05, A4, S4, L4. 05 is the warehouse number. A4, aisle number 4. S4, shelf number 4. L4, label 4th. This item is in one quantity. So if I want to know where is this, I can go to this aisle, this shelf, this label. Exact location. It's like XYZ coordinates. One piece is lying in this warehouse 05 and in this bin. That is what we see in the system. So you can trace the inventory exactly which bin this material is lying. Does the physical inventory also located in the same bin location? Yes. That basically means this one piece is in this bin, this two piece in this bin. Another thing which happened, bin locations in the business processes. Okay, there is a purchasing process, sales process, production process. So bin management could be in purchasing, could be in sales, could be in production. Okay, how? Let's see that in the system. Let's do some exercise. So I close this, and then let's say I want to go to purchase order. So I want to go to purchase order. I select the vendor. I select my item. Okay. I select the item. Whatever quantity, one piece, this is the price, it comes automatically. And here I have a warehouse 01. It's a default warehouse. You can set up the default warehouse, that's why 01 comes. And I want a warehouse number 05. Bin warehouse. I can make this as default also. And we save it. Purchase order, operation complete successfully. See the message in the bottom. Okay. And then if you go back and I say copy to, then we go to Guru Sheet. Then we go to Guru Sheet and this item, and I say add. See the message here. One or more partially allocated to the bin. Do you want system automatically assign the remaining bin to the bin location? Yes. Now systems cannot add receive location where I do not have enough capacity for the bin. Okay. Okay, so here, system, now what is this error message is about? You notice that error message? That error message says that I'm trying to find the bin, I don't find automatically. Okay, so we go to bin location here. And say, well, system don't find it. So I go to, notice that error. System does two allocations. See that automatic allocation, manual allocation. So I have a document number 629, this row, this warehouse, this is item, one piece, and I select the bin. So I can select the bin, whatever bin I want. So these are all the different bins which are there in the system. And I can choose the bin I want. I select the bin. Allocated one quantity. So in this bin, I assign one quantity and I say update. Okay. And then we go to add and say yes. Operation completed successfully. Now what happens? Now what happens? Now I go to this item. I go to inventory data. Now if you notice, I have three pieces here. You see that? There are three pieces. Earlier I had two. Now I have the three pieces. And if I go to the bin, see that earlier we were two bins. Now this one piece is lying in this bin in warehouse 05, aisle 7, shelf 7, label 7. I just select 777. It could be whatever. So one piece is lying in this location. So system, it stored the material exactly in the bin. That is how you can keep the material in exact location. PC hanging in the remote location. Voice problem. Can you guys hear my voice properly? Is my voice coming to you all? Can you hear me? Okay. Manoj can hear, Sachin can hear, Manager, Biswajit. Okay. So maybe your voice is clear. Okay. So maybe this is our internet issue, I guess. Okay. So that is how we can do end-to-end process. So what we did basically, exercise was we created a purchase order and good receipts and verify material being stored in the bin. And then we verify stock in the bin. So that is what we have done. Okay. How we'll create the bin location in SAP? Yeah, you can create as many bins as you want. So how do we create a bin? So if you go to inventory, if you go to bin locations, and this is the bin master data. In the bin master data, we can create as many bins as we want. So we can create multiple bins as we want. Okay. We can do bin master data. Now if you see here, I put this, I can put my bin A01 self if I want. So we can define A1, S1, L1. So this is the bin location code. We can define whether this is active, inactive, and we can add. So this is where you can create as many bins as you want. Bins are always created for this warehouse. So we also looked how can we create bin in the warehouse. So we created the bin in the warehouse. We can have multiple warehouses and we can have multiple bins in a warehouse. So your company can have multiple warehouses, warehouse in Faridabad, warehouse in Gurgaon, warehouse in Delhi, warehouse in Ghaziabad, warehouse in Noida, warehouse in Agra, warehouse in Mumbai or Chennai. You can have many warehouses. And then you can also have many bins in the warehouse. Okay? So that is where you add and then bin is created. You can create as many bins as you want for your warehouse. Can the bin create same plant location? Bin is created for a warehouse. Okay. So that is how we create a bin. And we also look at the process. How do we use the bin in a process? we have created a purchase order, we did a good receipt, and we also use bin, and we saw that material is being kept in the bin. We verify the stock also in the bin. Okay, so now we have a process called drop ship process. Drop ship process. Anybody heard this name called drop ship process? Drop ship process. Make a note of this name, drop ship process. Drop ship process. Drop ship process. Drop ship process. Okay. Anybody heard this name called drop ship process? There is an online business of drop shipping. What is drop ship process? Anybody? It's a business term, nothing related to SAP. Anybody heard this word called drop ship process? Drop ship product, I know. What is that? What is that, Sachin? What is the drop ship process? Anybody heard what is the drop ship process? Drop ship process, I am not sure from one place to deliver another place without store. That is Manoj said. Gaurav said, where we drop from one good to drop your product multiple per shipment. Okay, so I will give an example. I will give an example. I'm not sure how much this process is being used in India. But I'm sure it is used in India too. But in USA, this process is used very extensively. In fact, US this is used a lot. I will give an example from my experiences. So Reebok, or like for Nike, you all know Nike, right? Nike gets orders of shoes from Walmart. So Walmart is their customer. Then Nike place order on their manufacturer in Taiwan. Actually, it is China, but I don't want to use this word China anymore, so I'm using Taiwan. Mental satisfaction. So I should have used the word China, but I'm just to make me happy, I'm using the word Taiwan. Okay. So Nike placed order on their manufacturer in Taiwan, and the Taiwan manufacturer supply shoes directly to Walmart on behalf of Nike. You got this idea? So that basically means Nike don't keep inventory. They don't store inventory. Nike don't have any practical warehouse. They get an order from the Walmart. When Nike get an order, they place to their manufacturer in Taiwan, and then manufacture in Taiwan, supply to Nike's customer, Walmart, and Nike don't do any logistic process. No warehousing, no good receipt, no good issues, no logistic. So in US, that way this process is very, very common. A lot of people use this dropship process. I hope this process is clear. Okay, wonderful. So now in this process, if you see here, in order for the process to work on a warehouse, there is an indicator called dropship. This indicator should be on. This is prerequisite. So there is a dropship, this indicator, and this indicator should be on. Now, where is this indicator? So, if I go to warehouse, in the configuration, warehouse setup, now see that warehouse 03. This warehouse 03 has this small checkbox called drop ship. From the consultant configuration perspective, this is important. This small checkbox should be on. The checkbox should be on. This is the dropship. This checkbox should be on. Okay. So warehouse 03. Is it different from just in time? No, this is nothing to do with just in time. Just in time is different concept. Just in time is when used in automotive and all that, where the product is coming on time. This is not just in time. This is not JIT. JIT is different. This is dropship. Like just in time is used in automotive industry, for example, like Maruti Udyog. Lot of product which goes to Maruti, they are just in time. Or a lot of components, class A, class B component which go to Hero Honda in Dharuheda, they also just in time. So they use JIT in India. Dropship is different. Now, come back to an example. So here, what is happening? There's sales order, there's a purchase order, there's AR invoice, there's AP invoice, and now the process is start with the sales order. So we get a sales order. So I'm Nike, and I got an order from my customer Walmart for some shoes. I can put any item I want. So I can select any item, doesn't make a difference. So some printers order I got from the Walmart. I can put whatever quantity I want. So 10 pieces or whatever. Okay. And then I can put a date. Okay. Here in the warehouse, it should be 03. If we select here, so if you go back here, the warehouse should be 03. Okay, so 03 should be the warehouse. So we have a 03. Now if you go to logistic here, you see the dropship process item. I want to add. When I add, it opens up this window to me. This is called procurement confirmation wizard. So system automatically opens this wizard. We hit next. I have this date 10/8. This is customer, name of the customer, due date, posting date, and the next. I want to create a target document. Is a purchase order. So I want to create a purchase order. This is my vendor. And this is my base document, 707. 707 is my sales order. Quantity 10 pieces. This is my price. I go to next. And go to the next. Review document. System tells me this vendor, Acme Associate, this item in this warehouse. This is the information. Yeah. We go to next. Now the system tells me that procurement document number 628 has been created. 628 on this date, this time. And if I want to go back to this document, I click on this button. I can create a purchase order. Now this is the purchase order which is directly created from the sales order. And if I go to the relationship map, this is the button. I create a sales order number 707. This is the purchase order 628. This is the purchase order. Now here in the bottom we have a copy to. In the copy to we have a good receipt against purchase order. We go to good receipt against purchase order. So we have good receipt against purchase order. This is the vendor. Now this is my item, yeah, A001. I want to check how much inventory we have for this item. So in warehouse 03, I have a 0. Nil bate sannata, 0. We don't have any inventory at all. Okay. So we have a good receipt. And in this warehouse, and I save it. And we save it. Okay. We did a good receipt. Now we go to relationship map. Now what we did? So we create a sales order. With reference to sales order, we create purchase order. With reference to purchase order, we create a good receipt and its PO. Okay. 3 steps. Now I've done a good receipt. I want to check the inventory. So I go to inventory. And when I go to inventory, it is again blank. Again, it is nil bate sannata. All the way to the good receipt. This good receipt is 50 sales. This good receipt is just logical step completion. This good receipt is not receiving the material actually. So this good receipt, that's why it's a drop ship. Although we do good receipt in the system, but it does not increase my inventory. Do you understand the difference? Okay. Therefore, inventory area remain blank, nil. So here we have vendor, we have item, quantity. Now one more thing. I want to go to general entry. You see that there is no general entry. No general entry. Okay. No general entry. So what we did dropship process, and in the dropship process we create sales order. With the sales order we create purchase order. After purchase order, then we created good receipt. But in the good receipt, no change in quantity and value. And after good receipt, I go to the next step. This is AP invoice. So we have AP invoice. So this is the vendor. This is my item. Okay. So, and then we add and we say yes. Tax, we enter the tax. We enter the tax. We add. We save. Okay. This is what we did. Let's see the relationship map. In the relationship map, this is what we need to see. Okay. So we have done this. We create a sales order, then we create a purchase order, we create a good receipt against PO, and against that we create a purchase order. Okay, we are so far so good. Now I want to go to purchase order. So this is the purchase order. In the bottom, I created deliveries. Now I'm back to the sales order. I created delivery document. I add it. Operation completed successfully. Now what happens? So sales order, purchase order, good receipt, AP invoice, sales order, we create delivery. Okay. Now in the delivery also, if I see general entry, there is no general entry, no inventory entry. And after delivery, the next step is we do a custom invoice. And if I go to relationship map, this is what will happen. This is the whole cycle. This is our drop ship process. We create a sales order, the purchase order, good receipt, no good movement. It's just a fake. Then we do AP invoice. Then we create a sales order. With the sales order, we create delivery. With the delivery, we create custom invoice. This is end-to-end cycle. Can we enter the batch number? Yes. We will talk about the batch number also. In SAP, there is a batch number. SAP does batch number. We'll talk about actually in the batch numbers. Okay. And that is the whole end-to-end process. Does this mean that dropship process is not going to impact the financial statement? Since from the inventory perspective, yes. So from inventory perspective, yes. But yes, you still pay to the customer, pay to the supplier. So in the customer invoice, there is a general entry because you are selling to the customer, so you have a revenue. So you still have a revenue posting. So customer is still you are credited, and you are still going to pay from take the money from the customer. You're going to pay to your supplier. So you see that Acme associate is credited because you're still going to pay him. And if you go to your customer invoice, so this is a customer invoice, you still have your journal entry invoicing. Your sales revenue is still credited because you still make money. So journal entries are there, but it is only there for your vendor's account and customer account, not inventory accounts. You understand the difference? So that is the end-to-end drop ship process. Okay. Summary. Now we go to the next topic. So we are going to next topic. And the next topic is between item and inventory is called good moments. Different good moments. What are the different good moments? Anywhere in the world, anywhere in the world, all good moments are of three types. There are only three good moments, nothing more, nothing less. What are those three good moments? Inbound, good receipt. Material is coming from somewhere, like we did already against purchase order. So we did GRPO. See, we did a GRPO. So this is a GRPO. We did a good receipt against PO. Material came in. It's a good receipt, inbound. Then there is another example, outbound or goods issued. Example is delivery, right? So here in our exercise we did delivery. So when we do the delivery, material goes out. And the third and next exercise is stock transfers. For example, transferring material from one location to another location. These are the three good movements. Make a note of them. These are the only three good movements which happens anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Inbound, outbound, and stock transfers. These are only three good movements. In any inventory, any warehousing process of any type, these are the only three processes. Good receipt, good issue, inventory transfer. So that is what we see here. In my warehouse, so this is my warehouse, either material coming in, good receipt, like we did good receipt against purchase order. Material is going out. For example, we did delivery to the customer. So delivery to the customer is an example of a good issue. We are issuing the material. Or inventory transfer, for example, between the warehouses. So I have a warehouse in Delhi, I have a warehouse in Mumbai. So from Delhi, we are transferring to Mumbai, or Mumbai to Delhi. Depends. Either way. So we do inventory transfer between warehouses. Okay. Good receipt. So we did a different good receipt where the material comes in. How can we do the good receipt? You can do miscellaneous good receipt also. I close that. We did the GRPO. If I close all these windows, close, 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 close. Okay. So many screens. Now we go to inventory. We go to inventory transactions and we have good receipt. Now this is an example of a miscellaneous good receipt. I select an item. Description, quantity, warehouse. And if I go back to the stock of this item is 1,121. Okay, I close this. And then we add it. And then we save it. Operation completed successfully. We did a good receipt. What happened with this good receipt? If I go to item inventory tab, if I go to inventory data, now I have 1,122. One more came in. That is example of goods receipt. We talked about good receipt. Good receipt increases quantity. We can also do inventory transfer. For example, we are transferring the material between warehouses. Warehouse 1, warehouse 2. And between these warehouses, I'm transferring the material. You can do that as well. That's also very common. How do we do that? So I have a warehouse 01. In this, I have a 1,122. I have another warehouse 02. In that, I have a stock 103. I have less stock there. Okay. We close it. We go to inventory transfer. I can select from which warehouse to which warehouse. I said from warehouse 01 to the warehouse 02. Which item? I can choose an item we want. Okay. I select an item. So this is item, description item from this warehouse. See the from to source destination, warehouse 01 to warehouse 02. And then we hit save. See the message in the bottom. So we did the exercise. So we did the Guru Sheet exercise. Okay. Then we are doing transfer posting exercise. We did a dropship process exercise. And if you go back here, and if you go to the last record, this is the last record from 01 to 02. I go back to the item. I want to see what happened with the inventory. So how much quantity we transferred? If I go back here, inventory data, now we see here, we had 1,122. This become 21. This was 103, this become 104. Okay. And if you go back here, there is also journal entry. Because inventory changing from one plant to another plant. So there is a journal entry also. So that is an example of transferring the material from one warehouse to another warehouse. So what we did, this item, this is description from this warehouse, 01, this is source, this is destination, and quantity, one piece. So one piece of the quantity we have moved in the date today. So we did exercise of inventory transfers. We can also do good issue. Okay. We also did a good issue actually. When we create a delivery document, so creation of the delivery document is basically nothing but when we create a delivery document, fundamentally, what are we doing? We are issuing the material to the customer. So delivery document, which you've done many times, that is also an example of goods issue. Example of goods issue. Okay. Let's do this. And good issue could be for whatever. Maintenance department need a material, we do good issue to them. Repair department need a material, we do good issue to them. Operations department need a material, we give a material to. Anybody can need a material. And for any of these people, we can do good issue to them. Some salespeople need 2 items for promotions and as a sample. Quality department needs some material for inspection. So any department can need the material and warehouse will give the material to them. In all those situations, you can have a good issue. How do we do good issue? See that after good receipt, there is a good issue. If you go to good issue, so here I can choose an item. So this is the item. And I select description. Quantity how much? Let's say 1 piece, 5 piece, whatever. And here we have something called account. You see the account code 500-510. Now what is this account basically mean? Because if you are sending this material to maintenance or to repair, to operations, ultimately somebody consuming that. Yeah, pay attention, this is important. So somebody is consuming that inventory. Who? You can't just give an inventory. We also need to keep track of inventory consumption. And that is what we see here. This is my item, description, quantity, warehouse, account code. And then we add. Now what happened with this? So I go back to the item, so 1 piece. And if I go back and check inventory, this become, it was 21, 1121. Now this become 1120, 1 piece reduced. 1 piece gone. And if I go to right click, there's journal entry. There has to be journal entry because somebody consumed that inventory. And whomsoever consumed that inventory, we need to know who. So we say journal entry. Now see that? This account 50010, this was the account. Now this account has been debited. Ultimately, my stock is reduced. And so from stock account, this value has transferred to the loss account, whatever that is. This account could be whatever. Because ultimately you will like to know that how much inventory, because you keep reducing inventory. So you need to keep track. Inventory is a value. Inventory is an asset. So how do you take care of those inventory value and assets? And that is where we keep track of those inventory values. And that was account 50010. So this account has been assigned this cost. Because journal entry, you see this account has been assigned, debited the value. So 500-510, this account has been debited for 12,611.83 cents. We did a good issue. So we can do good receipt. We talked about we can do good issue. We talked about this is a screenshot, like how the screen look like. So this is a good issue screen. This is a good receipt screen, and that is what we see here. That is what we see here. So these are 2 different screens, 2 different transactions. Inventory posting. So at the time of good receipt, there is inventory posting. At the time of good issue, there is inventory posting. Both times. So good receipt, which we did the last time, the journal entry. In the journal entry, what happens? Stock is debited. In case of good issue, we saw that last time. Again, there is the journal entry. Finance is very important. As I keep repeating, if you understand, you do good receipt, you do good issue, you do this, all these, but all these transactions at the end of the day has a financial consequences. If you do not understand those financial consequences, you cannot understand ERP. Any ERP. I can do good receipt, but what happens behind the scene, I don't know. That will not work. At the end of the day, all these transactions, like we did sales, it is a financial consequences. We did purchase, it is a financial consequences. We are doing inventory transaction, good receipt, good issue and all that. All of them has a financial consequences. There is always a journal entry in most places. We saw that in purchase cycle. We saw that in sales cycle. Now we are seeing the same in the inventory movements also. These financial consequences are important for us to understand. Okay? Can we bulk upload by Excel to create item? Yes, you can bulk upload. Yes, you can. In fact, there is a DTW. When using DTW, you can upload, items and vendors and customers, and you can do mass upload as many times as possible. Okay. Okay. So I was emphasizing inventory posting. In all the different transactions, there was a general entry. See that if company using perpetual inventory, and we'll talk about what is perpetual inventory transaction create a general entry automatically. We saw that multiple times. I cannot emphasize enough. I tell a lot of people, all the consultants, I'm doing consulting so many years, and I told all the classes which I teach and all the consultants, understand the financial consequence. And that is and how those financial consequences are happening. And again, as I said in the beginning of it, if you implement SAP to a company, and if in that company you cannot create a balance sheet properly, then there is no purpose of SAP. If you cannot create a P&L profit loss account properly, then there is no point of SAP. If you cannot match trial balance, no purpose of SAP. My SAP sales order working fine, purchase order working fine, my trial balance is not matching. My balance sheet is not proper. Nothing is proper there. Because the company is MD, your government, your taxation department, gonna see a balance sheet, gonna see your P&L. It also has legal consequences, yeah. Unless you're doing something wrong, you cannot be wrong. Your financial posting is a fraud, is a crime actually. If you do some, a lot of hunky-panky, a lot of people do here and there, but by law, all these financial posting has also impact on taxation. So like we talk about the sales revenue, right? I say revenue. If you mismanage your revenue, you're mismanaging your taxability. That's your payment to the government. And taxability has a financial and legal consequences. Legal, criminal consequences. In most countries, there's a punishment for these things. So I will keep emphasizing to you all these sales process, purchase process. We are doing inventory processes. We're going to do production processes. But all these processes are interconnected with each other. And we have seen all these arrows in sales to purchase, purchase to production. That is the power of SAP. That is the true power of SAP, having all those interconnectedness. And second power of SAP is having accurate, transparent, visible financial consequences. in all these transactions. The day you will understand all these financial transactions, consequences, impacts, and entries, you will be SAP consultant. Before that, you cannot be a true SAP consultant. Can never be true SAP consultant unless you understand the financial impacts of all these transactions. Okay, transferring stock. So we talked about, we did this transaction. Warehouse 1, we can do the warehouse 2, we can transform 1 to 2, 2 to 1. We can transfer that inventory, that is possible, and we can do that, and we did that exercise as well. So we did this exercise of transferring the inventory from one location to another location. Okay, so transferring stock. So when you transfer the stock, one warehouse inventory reduces, another inventory increases. So that here, one increase credit, one increase debit, because you're transferring the material from one location to another location. One place inventory reduces, one place inventory increases. One place value of inventory increases, another place value of inventory decreases. So one place increase, one place decrease. So one place good receipt, one place good issue. Okay. There is also something called consignment process. Now, consignment process what? Consignment process basically means your warehouse at your own site. So there is a customer consignment. In customer consignment, what happens is many times you supply the material to a customer on the consignment. Yeah? So there is something called consignment process. Customer consignment process. Customer consignment process basically means I'm sending my material. So it has two processes. I'm sending my material to customer, and then once customer consumes the inventory, then we will do the billing. It's a slightly different process. In the European countries and American countries, this process does happen. This process, I'm not sure it is very common in Indian situation though. But this process do happen in Europe and other countries. So what basically we do, you can transfer the material. You can say which customer it is, so we can choose the customer. So this is my customer, microchips. I can select my item. This is my item. Okay. And then here, for consignment, people have a different warehouse. See that here, consignment warehouse. Now, why consignment warehouse? So we can identify the transfer of inventory. Okay, so there is a consignment warehouse. Consignment warehouse basically represents that I'm having my own material. So that is a consignment warehouse. Okay, so consignment warehouse, and here we can have a consignment warehouse. Okay. Not inventory transfer. Yeah. So from 001, I'm transferring to 004, consignment warehouse. So from general warehouse, and I'm transferring 004. So it's consignment. Okay. So 01, 04 standard consignment warehouse. So 04 is a consignment warehouse, and then we add it. Okay. Operation completed successfully. And after that, if I go back, check the inventory. Now, in the consignment, I have a zero in one quantity. Okay. So there is a one quantity. Now I have a one piece in the consignment. Okay. And after that, we go to sales invoicing. Customer consumes this. And we go to customer. I select the same item, quantity, and then I select my warehouse. I select my consignment warehouse, 04, add. So we need to put a text code, add, and yes. Okay. So we create an invoice. If I go back to the journal entry again, everything is a journal entry. Now see, two things happen. My customer, microchips, has been debited 16,660. Tax has been credited. Sales revenue has been credited. Stock account, because stock is reduced. So stock is also being reduced, is 12,000, and finished good cost of goods sold has been set. So it does both. It created delivery and invoicing both entries. Now, if I go back and check the inventory status, if I see the inventory status, that consignment inventory, which was one piece, is gone. So it's no more that inventory is there. So this is how we can do customer consignment process. Okay. There is a transfer request also. Yeah? So there is a transfer and there is a transfer request. So if we go back here, if you look at clearly, if we go here, so there is also inventory, and if you go to inventory transactions, there is also inventory transfer request. And after the request, we can also create inventory transfer. So this is inventory transfer request from this warehouse to second warehouse. Okay. Quantity, one piece, whatever quantity, and we add. So this is my inventory transfer request. Then after inventory transfer request, you can create inventory transfer. So there's inventory transfer, which you can do on the basis of that. You can add, you can add. Okay. And if I go to relation, then I can go back. And if I see, there is a inventory transfer request, and with that I do inventory transfer. Okay, so it's 12 o'clock, so I will finish now. Transplant like me, yeah, possible. It can be used in that cases, in case of consignment in hospitals and all that. I have seen in hospital scenarios where you can use the inventory on a consignment basis, Manoj. So that is a correct example. Okay. Any questions, concerns, issues, challenges, problems, difficulties in the life? Okay. Probably no questions. 12 o'clock there is no question. In the beginning there is a lot of questions. So, Samachar, Samapt. News is over. So thank you all, and I appreciate you coming. and I appreciate you listening to this session. So thank you all. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself. Please give us your motivational samachar in the last samachar samapt. Good night. Thank you all. Thank you for joining the session. Take care. Bye guys. Good night. Wonderful. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Talk to you all tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you very much.